Chapter 1 Mysterious Map. Li Ming stood at the bustling auction site, surrounded by people, all kinds of antiques and artworks, and bidders were focused, raising their placards one after another. He originally came to find some ancient Egyptian artifacts to collect information for his archaeological research, but he never expected that an inconspicuous map would completely change his fate. The auction venue was set up in a spacious hall, with gorgeous chandeliers hanging from the high ceiling, illuminating the entire hall. There were exquisite paintings hanging on the walls around, including oil paintings depicting the majestic image of the ancient Egyptian pharaohs and watercolor paintings showing the desert scenery of ancient Egypt. Each painting seemed to be telling an ancient story. In the center of the hall were rows of display stands, displaying various antiques and artifacts, including ancient Egyptian pottery jars, statues, jewelry, as well as ancient books, maps, and documents. Each exhibit exuded the precipitation of history and the charm of culture. Li Ming shuttled through the crowd, his eyes lingering on each exhibit for a moment, his heart full of respect and curiosity for these ancient Egyptian artifacts. Sometimes he stopped in front of an exhibit, carefully looking at the patterns and decorations on it, and sometimes flipping through the introduction materials next to it to understand the historical background and value of these artifacts. He secretly hoped that he could find some precious artifacts that would help him with his research at this auction. Just as he was immersed in the charm of these ancient Egyptian artifacts, an inconspicuous corner caught his attention. There was a yellowed ancient map, no one around, as if it had been forgotten by people. Out of curiosity, Li Ming walked up and looked at it carefully. The outline of the desert on the map was vaguely discernible, and a winding river ran through it, which was the mother river of ancient Egypt, the Nile River. However, what attracted his attention most was a circled area in the upper right corner of the map, where several vague ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs were written, and next to it was a pattern of an eye, with deep eyes, as if it could see into people's hearts.
"Sir, are you interested in this map?"
The auction staff came over with a bit of curiosity in his tone. Li Ming nodded and asked about the origin of the map.
The staff explained, "This is a relic of an old collector. It is said that he explored Egypt when he was young, but we don't know the details."
Li Ming's heart moved and decided to participate in the auction. As the auctioneer's bidding sounded, he raised the number plate in his hand without hesitation. In the end, after a fierce bidding, Li Ming successfully bought the map at a price beyond his expectations. He secretly rejoiced in his heart and felt that there was an unknown secret behind this map. Back home, Li Ming spread the map flat on the table and studied it carefully. He first translated the hieroglyphs on the map one by one against the ancient Egyptian dictionary, and found that those words described a place called Eye of the Desert, which was said to be the holy place of the ancient Egyptian gods, with endless secrets and power. Li Ming was quite familiar with ancient Egyptian mythology and knew that the ancient Egyptians believed that the gods lived in distant temples and controlled the fate of all things in the world. The name Eye of the Desert reminded him of the Eye of Horus, the sun god in ancient Egyptian mythology, an eye with magical power that could see through everything and dispel darkness. He couldn't help but feel a little excited. Could it be that this Eye of the Desert is really related to the temple in ancient Egyptian mythology and hides some mysterious power? He compared the map with his knowledge of ancient Egyptian geography and found that the marked location on the map did not match the known ancient Egyptian temple sites. This means that if the information on the map is true, there may be an undiscovered ancient Egyptian temple hidden deep in the desert, which is undoubtedly a major archaeological discovery. Li Ming's heart was full of excitement and expectation. He realized that he might be about to uncover an ancient Egyptian civilization forgotten by history. In order to further confirm the authenticity of the map, Li Ming consulted a large amount of ancient Egyptian historical materials and archaeological documents to find clues related to the Eye of the Desert. He found that in some myths and legends of ancient Egypt,
there was indeed a mention of a mysterious temple located deep in the desert, which was a holy place for the gods, but the specific geographical location and details were rarely recorded. This further strengthened Li Ming's determination to explore Egypt. He believed that this map was the key to the mysterious temple. For this expedition, Li Ming made full preparations. He first contacted some friends in the archaeological community, hoping that they could join the expedition. He showed them his findings and elaborated on the expedition plan and the difficulties that might be encountered. Moved by Li Ming's enthusiasm and persistence, his friends expressed their willingness to join. They formed an expedition team of 5 people. In addition to Li Ming, there were 3 experienced archaeologists and a guide who was good at field survival. The 3 archaeologists and the team were Professor Zhang, a scholar with profound attainments in ancient Egyptian history and culture, who had in-depth research on ancient Egyptian mythology, religion, and architecture. Dr. Wang, an expert who focused on the study of ancient Egyptian texts and documents and was proficient in the interpretation of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, and researcher Zhao, an archaeologist with rich experience in ancient Egyptian archaeological excavations, who was good at the protection and restoration of cultural relics. The guide was named Li Chang, an old hunter who had lived in the desert for many years. He knew the terrain and environment of the desert very well and could lead the team safely in the desert. They each had a clear division of labor. Professor Zhang was responsible for studying ancient Egyptian history and culture and providing theoretical support for the expedition. Dr. Wang was responsible for interpreting the hieroglyphs on the map and the inscriptions in the temple to find clues. Researcher Zhao was responsible for carrying and using archaeological tools to excavate and protect cultural relics. Li Chang was responsible for ensuring the safety of the team and the living needs of the team, and leading everyone to move forward smoothly in the desert. As the team leader, Li Ming was responsible for the overall expedition plan and decision-making, and coordinated the work of the team. Li Ming also carefully prepared various expedition supplies and equipment, including tents, sleeping bags, food, water, first aid kits, communication equipment, etc. He knew that the desert environment was harsh and the climate was changeable, and he must be fully prepared to deal with various emergencies. They brought a sufficient number of tents and sleeping bags to cope with the low temperature at night in the desert, prepared high-calorie, easy-to-store food, such as compressed biscuits, canned food, energy bars, etc., to ensure that the team had sufficient energy during the expedition, and prepared large-capacity kettles and water purifiers to ensure the supply of water. In addition, they also brought communication equipment such as satellite phones and GPS locators so that they could contact the outside world in time when they encountered danger. Before setting off, Li Ming also went to the library and consulted a large number of books on ancient Egyptian mythology and desert exploration, hoping to find more clues about the eye of the desert and ways to deal with the desert environment. He learned that in ancient Egyptian mythology, the holy places of the gods are often related to celestial bodies such as the sun, moon, and stars, symbolizing sacred and mysterious power. The environment in the desert is extremely harsh. In addition to high temperature and dryness, there are also dangerous factors such as sandstorms, quicksand, and venomous snakes, which require extra care. After everything was ready, Li Ming and his expedition team embarked on a journey to Egypt, full of yearning for the unknown and awe of ancient Egyptian civilization. They didn't know what was waiting for them ahead, but no matter what difficulties and challenges they encountered, they had the confidence to face and overcome them and unveil the mystery of the Eye of the Desert.